You think power belongs to the most advanced weapons, the billion-dollar jets, the precision missiles, the systems that took decades to build. That's what dominance used to look like. But right now, in the skies over Iran, that idea is being quietly dismantled. Because a $20,000 drone is forcing a $4 million response. And every time that happens, power shifts. Not dramatically, but decisively. This war isn't just exposing destruction, it's exposing humiliation of systems that were built to be untouchable, now being challenged by something simple, cheap, replaceable. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because expensive weapons were designed for precision, but cheap weapons are designed for pressure. And pressure wins wars differently. Look at what's actually happening. Iran launches waves of low-cost drones. Not perfect, not unstoppable, but numerous, relentless, expendable. Each one costs a fraction of what it takes to stop it. And to stop them, advanced interceptor missiles worth millions. Do the math. Every interception is a financial loss, even when it's a tactical success. That's the trap. You win the battle, but lose the equation. And wars aren't just fought on impact anymore. They're fought on sustainability. Because if one side can spend a few thousand and force the other to spend millions, time becomes a weapon, not just firepower. And time always favors the side that can last longer. That's the shift. This isn't about destroying defenses. It's about exhausting them. Missile systems run out. Stockpiles shrink. Production can't keep up. Because you can't mass-produce billion-dollar systems quickly. But cheap drones? You can build thousands. Deploy them in swarms, lose them without hesitation, and send more. That's not just strategy, that's industrial warfare. And it changes everything. Because for decades, military dominance meant having the best technology. Now, it's about having enough. Enough volume, enough repetition, enough pressure to break the system. Even if each individual weapon is weak. And that's exactly what's happening. Defense systems are being overwhelmed. Not by superiority, but by saturation. When hundreds of drones approach at once, even a high interception rate isn't enough. Because the few that get through still hit something. And that's all it takes. One impact, one disruption, one system failure. Multiply that over time, and even the most advanced defenses start to crack. This is the part most people miss. Cheap technology isn't winning because it's better. It's winning because it changes the rules. It turns war into a numbers game. And numbers don't care about prestige. They don't care about cost. They only care about volume. And volume breaks systems, quietly, relentlessly, inevitably. That's why even the most powerful militaries are adapting, developing their own low-cost systems, not because they want to, but because they have to. Because fighting cheap with expensive isn't sustainable. That's a moment most people overlook. When the strongest systems in the world start copying simpler ones, that's not innovation. That's pressure. And pressure is the real weapon here. Because this war is proving something uncomfortable. The future doesn't belong to the most advanced system. It belongs to the most scalable one. And scalability doesn't reward perfection. It rewards repetition. Think about that. A single advanced jet might dominate the sky. But what happens when it's facing hundreds of targets? What happens when every interception costs more than the threat itself? What happens when the cost of defense becomes higher than the cost of attack? That's when dominance starts to erode. Not because the technology failed, but because the model did. Because the system wasn't built for this kind of war. It was built for precision, not pressure. Control, not chaos. But cheap technology introduces chaos, and chaos is hard to defend against. Because it doesn't follow rules. It doesn't need to be efficient. It just needs to be persistent. And persistence beats perfection over time. That's the real lesson of this war. Not that expensive weapons are useless, but that they're vulnerable to a completely different strategy. One that doesn't try to outmatch you, it tries to outlast you. And that's a different kind of threat. Because you can't intercept indefinitely. You can't spend infinitely. You can't sustain imbalance forever. Eventually, something gives. And when it does, it won't look like a sudden collapse. It'll look like depletion. Gradual, quiet, systemic. Until one day, the system that once looked unbeatable starts to hesitate. And hesitation in war is weakness. Oh, so this isn't just about Iran. It's about a shift in power itself. From expensive to scalable. From precision to pressure. From dominance to endurance. And the countries that understand this first won't just win battles, they'll redefine how wars are fought, while everyone else is still trying to defend the old way. So the next time you see a headline about drones, don't underestimate it. Because behind that small, cheap machine is a strategy powerful enough to challenge billion-dollar systems. And it already is. If this changed your perspective, subscribe, because the next video might change your life.